Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to school. It's Monday morning and it's lovely to be talking to you once again. Something happened at the weekend. I was at home with my husband and three sons, and we were washing up at the end of a meal, and one of my sons broke one of our very special glasses that we've had for a very long time. So I was quite disappointed because that's something that we've had for a long time. It's smashed, and it's something that I know can't be mended. There are many things, though, that if we break them, we can actually have a good go at mending them. So, for example, if we had a handle that had come off a favourite mug, for example, so here, this mug here, imagine the handles come off, we can actually mend that by using super glue. Likewise, if we get a hole in a sock, we can actually mend it with needle and thread. We might damage our finger, cut it, and that can be mended using a plaster. If we get a puncture in our bicycle, we can mend it using a puncture kit. So often, things that are broken can be mended. So let's think now about what we would do if we had a broken friendship. When we fall out with one of our friends, we can't mend that friendship with a needle and thread, or sellotape, or super glue, or a puncture kit, or a sticking plaster. So now I'm going to read you a story from the Bible that might give you some ideas about how we could mend broken friendships. And this is called the parable of the unforgiving servant. I'm reading a slightly different version, but if you want to look it up in the Bible later, you would find this in Matthew chapter 18, and it starts at verse 21. Jesus' friend Peter came up to him one day and asked a question. If someone does something wrong, something that upsets me, and keeps on doing these wrong things, how many times should I forgive him? Jesus looked Peter in the eye, shook his head gently, and replied, No, not 7 times. You should forgive them 70 times, 7 times. Then Jesus told Peter a story to help him understand more about forgiving and about living life God's way. Once upon a time, there was a king who had lots of servants. One day the king was checking through his account books when one of his servants was brought into the room. This servant owed the king some money, rather a lot of money. In fact, he owed the king thousands of pounds, but he did not have enough money to pay his debt. Sell this man as a slave, shouted the king, and his wife and children too. That way, he will have enough money to pay what he owes me. The servant fell down on his knees in front of the king and pleaded for mercy. I'm so sorry, he said. If you'll just give me a bit more time, I'll earn the money. Then I'll pay you back everything that I owe you. The man looked so sad that the king felt sorry for him, and in a kind voice he said, That's okay. I forgive you, and I'm cancelling your debt. The servant was very surprised, but leaped to his feet and left the palace rejoicing. Just as he came out of the door, he bumped into another servant who owed him some money. It was not a lot of money, just a few coins. Even though the first servant had recently been forgiven by the king, he grabbed the second servant, gave him a good shake, and demanded he pay back the money. The second servant didn't have any money, so he too fell on his knees and cried out, I'm so sorry. If you'll just give me a bit more time, I'll earn the money, then I'll pay you back everything I owe you. However, the first servant took no notice and had the second servant thrown into jail until he could pay his debt. When the king heard what had happened, he was very angry and asked for the first servant to be brought to his palace. I'm not at all happy, he roared. I forgave you and cancelled your debt because you asked me to. Why couldn't you have done the same thing for your fellow servant rather than having him thrown into jail? I'm now sending you to jail until you can pay back your debt in full." Jesus explained to his friend Peter that God is like the king in this story. Christians believe God forgives us every time we say we are sorry for the wrong things we have done. And he wants to treat our friends in a similar way, forgiving them each time they say sorry to us. We're just going to think for a moment. What do you think was the key word in that story? I think the key word in that story could be forgiveness. What I want us to think about now is, what does it mean to forgive someone? At the end of that story we've just listened to, Jesus tells us that if we've done something wrong, we need to say sorry to God, and then he will forgive us. In a similar way, if you've fallen out with a friend or someone in your family, I think two things often need to happen. If you know you have done something wrong or upset someone, you need to be brave enough to say sorry to that person. And then the person to whom you have said sorry needs to forgive you. So we asked a question at the beginning: what might you use to mend a broken friendship? And a good answer to this question would be forgiveness. We're going to say a prayer. If you'd like to make it your prayer, please say Amen at the end. If you do not wish to pray, listen to the words and think your own thoughts. Dear Lord, thank you for today's Bible story about forgiveness. Thank you that if we say sorry to you, you always give us a fresh start. Please help us to be forgiving people here, in our school, in our homes, and in our community. Amen. If you'd like to sing a song, go to the front page of the website where we've uploaded a new song for you this week. I hope you have a lovely day, and I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye and God bless.